I would like to ask a question. Is the breakdown or passing position pose used only to show the path of action? And does it have to be exactly in the middle of the movement? No, the breakdown or passing pose does not have to be in the middle of the motion. It is used to describe the motion. Sometimes that will be in the middle. So for example, the passing pose on a walk will often be in the middle between a walk because a walk is a linear motion. So I should have opened up my Clip Studio here so I could draw things out. So in a walk, typically the passing pose is going to be the middle pose. I love Zelda music. So let's see here. So if I have a walk, let's just do a hip here. We're not going to do the full body. You've got the character walking, and the back leg is going to be slightly bent here, kind of going this way, and I should add ground plane so I'm not messing things up too bad. And then let's say your next pose, and let's do the ground plane on another layer here. Okay. So your next pose here is going to be over here. So the next contact, pushing off the ground, somewhere around here. Let's get that angle about right. Okay, so this is a passing pose. You've got, your two key poses here, the two contacts, contact, contact. Between those, you're going to add your passing pose. Now again, for a walk is a linear motion here. So typically, the passing pose will be pretty much in the center of these two poses. So right there. And that's a little too high. So it'll be something like this. The leg will be straight or slightly bent, and then the passing leg is going to be over here. So like that. So now you have that passing pose, and there's a slight lean forward, but the overall spacing is right in the center. Now, let's say you have a similar thing where you've got two poses, but I'm going to have... Why did I choose a hand? I'm going to have an arm, and we're just going to kind of create a, let's see, a fist here. So it's, I should actually draw it from the front that way. I'm trying to think what kind of motion. Actually, no, let's do it this way. This is going to be a little simpler. So I've got a character here who's going to be swinging a hammer right through here. So we've got the hammer right through there, and then it's going to come down and it's going to hit the ground right here. Something like that. So the breakdown between these two motions here, and did I draw that on the right frame? No, I drew this on the wrong frame. Okay, and let's just get rid of this one. Okay, so between this and this, where would the breakdown go? Well, it depends on what we want. If we put this right in the center, right here, this would give us what I would typically call a tween breakdown, or a Maya breakdown, or a Blender breakdown, honestly, whichever program you want. If I just do something like this, everything's going to be right in the center. Very boring. So you have this arc and you have this arc, and both arcs, if we look at the spacing chart, is going to be right like that. That's not going to be interesting. It's just going to be a very basic lead and follow. Or there's no lead and follow, honestly. It's just straight up and down. So I would not do this. This would be very bad. Instead, as I put the breakdown, I'm going to try and favor poses based on what's going to lead and what's going to follow. So for example, as the character's hammering down, you would want to lead with the hand first, and then the hammer comes down after. So on that breakdown, I might have the hand leading the action here just a little bit, and the hammer is going to drag back behind right here. Something like that. Now, as you add more breakdowns, this is where you can start to really refine that motion. So this is one breakdown, and even that is going to start to give more weight to the hammer. So we've got that here, and I feel like this could arc a little bit more forward, just to get a little bit more of a arcing motion through there. So now let's add a couple more breakdowns between these two. So I want the motion to have the hand start. So let's actually anticipate up here. So the hand starts to move upwards. And as it's doing that, the hammer is going to drag and maybe even reverse its motion ever so slightly. So it's going to anticipate backwards as the characters start to move their hand forwards. So this is going to add a little bit of drag to that motion. Now it comes forward here. I feel like I could move this a little bit higher to push my arc. I'm looking at the arc of the hand right there. And then on the next breakdown, the hand itself is probably going to just get right close to where the ground is, right here, as the hammer keeps going. So I could, let's see. Depends on how you want to hit it, but I could have that come in right here. And now the hammer is going through there. I don't want it to be halfway. That's going to be a little bit boring. So I'm going to try to hold it a little bit further right there. Maybe somewhere around here. This is the nice thing with 2D is you can always just draw arcs out and whatnot. So we get something like this. Now, if we turn off the cell shading, you can see how that creates a little bit more weight to that hammer right there. And this is very rough, so I apologize. I would maybe ease that a little bit more. So something like that. So I'm not putting the keys in the middle. I am pushing each one so that their spacing is a little different. The hand has the ease out here before it really kind of goes into the ease in right there, or actually it would be just one frame right there. And then the hammer is actually overshooting, so it actually goes back here first. So very tight spacing there before it drags forward, and then just slams into the ground like so. So we're pushing these two arcs right here and pushing the spacing in each one. But it's not going into that middle pose. It doesn't mean it can't, but I'm trying to think of what's leading, what's following, and how they're going to affect each other. I hope that makes sense.